I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, everybody, welcome to West Point, Mississippi. This is going to be an interesting show today. We're going to talk about deer hunting with dogs, dog hunting. I mean, it goes by a lot of different names.
Running the dogs.
Yeah, that's right. Who let the dogs out? So, Mac, you're sitting in. You've had some experience. We've asked Mr. Bill Gibson to sit in with us. He's been deer hunting a long time, and I'm assuming you've hunted with dogs before.
Oh yeah, back in the '60s, long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So what we've got, guys, we have. I reached out to Ricky Flint. I said, "Hey, look, we'd like to talk about the history and the traditions of hunting deer with dogs," and he put me in touch with a man from Pearl County, Mississippi. His name is David Smith.
That's Pearl River County.
Pearl River County. I'm gonna miss something up every time. So, at least I got Smith right.
That's
let's
right.
give me some credit here. So, and he tells me that you're the president of the Mississippi Dog Hunters Association.
That's correct. Yes, I'm the current president of the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association for the state. I started out as the Pearl River Hancock Harrison County chapter as president. I'm still president over that, but of the chapter, and but then I got elected. I don't know, 10 years ago as a state president, and started out as interim, but they never found a permanent, and then they wanted me to do it. So,
Does it come with a lot of perks?
Nah, no perks.
I bet you're like a lightning rod, though. You probably get a lot of comments.
Get a lot of phone calls from people all over the state, good and bad. So, everybody calls me, anything to do with dog hunting or what have you. So, yeah, but I enjoy it. It's just a passion I've had for years, dog hunting, and I don't mind taking the phone calls. Feel like I've solved a lot of people's problems by answering questions for them. But anyway,
So look, Mac, I want you to help me with this. What I want to accomplish today is we want to talk about the history and the traditions. We want to learn about it, how it all got started. We want to hear how you got started in it. And then we want to hear about the future. And then we're going to have to go with understanding some of the negatives. If you're next door to a dog hunting club, how do you deal with that? So that's kind of where I want to go. Why don't we start with just how you got into this sport?
Well, basically, I don't know, just growing up as a kid, and then I started out coon hunting with dogs, and did that through my teenage years, and that's what I was telling Mr. Bill. I never saw a deer track till I was 18 years old down in South Mississippi, so they was few and far between. And then, of course, they exploded in late 60s and 70s, so we started seeing more. But then I was out chasing coon dogs all night, and by myself, bored, run up on two old fellas sitting there with a fire built, and heard some hounds running, and I said, "Man, how y'all doing?" And I said, "Fine." I said, "What y'all doing?" They said, "Well, listen to a fox race." So I sat there and talked with them, and kind of got excited about it. And next thing, I got out of the coon hounds and got into the fox hounds. So, and then, of course, over the years, which I use some for deer hunting, and then we run field trials. The first thing that really got me into getting more hounds was, I guess, when I first finished college and started working. Myself and my father, we had 320 acres, ran about 200 mama cows, and one year we lost 7 calves being born to coyotes. So I went and got more hounds, rounded up more, and bought some. And that was their job. I turn them out 4 days a week, of course, except through turkey season. And they ran the coyotes, and we never lost another calf. And then through that process, some people come by and seen the dogs running. They asked me, "Had you ever thought about competing those hounds?" And I said, well, I didn't understand what they meant. And they said, field trials, fox hunts. And so I said, well, I don't know. I might try that. So anyway, about the third fox hunt I went to, I won it. There was 326 dogs from 6 different states, and I won it and made a field champion. And then I was hooked on the fox hunting, because that is a pretty good passion of mine. I just love to hear the hounds run.
Now, a lot of times when we think about fox hunting, you think about these people riding horses in outfits. And I'm not picturing you doing that. So
No,
this is
we don't. In the South now, it's just pickup trucks, go turn the dogs loose, listen to the hounds run. And of course, down here we got probably more coyotes than we do fox, so a lot of times we running coyotes. And right here in Grenada, Mississippi, I don't know, in the forks of Grenada Lake, which was set aside as a state fox preserve, we have the biggest fox hunts in the nation right here. Actually, the end of this month, October 26th through November the 2nd, they have the Chase Futurity and National Fox Hunt. And that thing brings in estimated about $3 million turnaround to Grenada and surrounding counties. And they have had as many as 1,500 dogs show up for that from 26 different states and Canada.
And is this done at night?
No, it's done. It casts at daylight. Run 5 hours a day for 3 days, and then they do what they call pick the highest general average. They score them for hunting ability, trailing ability, speed and drive ability, and endurance. And they pick the highest general average in the top 10.
So maybe 6 weeks ago, about 2 months, there was a guy on a boat in Grenada Lake that picked up like 25 or 30 dogs that were out swimming. Was that left over from an event like that?
Yeah, it was actually, it was one of the hunts they have up there, a 3-day hunt. And, it's like I told them at the commission meeting, we never know where the wild game's going to run. And whether it been a deer or coyote, swam out in the lake, and them dogs swam behind it. And then they ended up, some boats saw them. But it's like I told them at that particular hunt, I think they casted 350 something dogs, and all 350 something dogs went home. So they was all fine. It was just they were swimming for about an hour.
Yeah, wow. I don't know that I could do that.
Yeah.
That's a good story there. Well, I've always heard that the fox hunters kind of moved over into chasing coyotes. And then I heard that if you caught a coyote in a trap, a live coyote, you could sell it to the fox hunters. Never knew who this was, but they would buy them. Is there any truth to that? Is that even legal?
Yeah. Yeah, in the state of Mississippi, as long as they're caught within the state, there's no transporting, cross state lines. But they have fox pens scattered around. We got a fox pen, J&J fox pen down in Picayune. It's a 1,600 acre fenced enclosure. They got 1,000 acre fenced enclosure at Harrisville. They got one at Pontotoc. There's numerous pens all over the state, and that's where the trappers, as long as they trap them within the state, and they got a permit through Wildlife and Fisheries for that fox pen, they'll buy the coyotes for $75 to $100, depending. I guess it's kind of supply and demand. Usually in February, March, they catch so many and fill the fox pens up. I've seen the price get down to $40 and $50 a coyote, and then when they get later in the year, times get hard, they pay more. So yeah.
Well, so how did you transition from running fox to wanting to chase deer?
Well, I started out. The first thing I did was deer hunting, and it's just I enjoyed it so much because the camaraderie and of all the hunters, everybody groups up. It was like nobody was just. It's like you unpressured, I guess you'd say. We'd meet up, have a good time, joke around, then we'd go line out an area, turn the dogs loose, and hope they would get a buck to run across in front of them. But when I first started, it's kind of like me and Mr. Bill was talking about. The deer was so, numbers was so down. When I first started dog hunting down there in Pearl River County in Millard Hunting Club, them guys, if you shot a doe, they would escort you to the gate and send you on your merry way. So you didn't, because they wanted to build, the herd of deer so they wouldn't shoot does. And they had me believing that for a long time till later I learned after I started still hunting some that you have to take out does if you want to keep bucks.
Yeah.
So what's the how long does the dog hunting go back to?
Oh, well, if George Washington, the founder of our country, killed his first buck in front of a pack of dogs. So it's been a heritage and tradition for hundreds of years. And that's what we argue with people sometimes, and our politicians, and which they put it out. And what's it been, 10, 12 years ago, whenever. It was a vote in the state of Mississippi to make it your right to hunt and fish by traditional means. Well, that's what we all tell them. There's nothing more traditional than dog hunting. So that was voted on. 80-something% of the state voted that in.
So when I think about dog hunting, I think about clubs. Mm-hmm. And I think about these clubs have 4, 5, 6 more 1,000 acres. I mean, they're typically pretty big. So is there a rule of thumb when you're in one of these clubs and maybe a property becomes available to lease and it may not be adjoining you? If it's smaller than, say, 500 acres, do y'all say, well, we probably can't effectively, we're going to make people mad over there? Is there a number?
We kind of, you kind of look at the terrain, if there's no way to stop the dogs, small acreages, we don't, fool with them. Just like we just got some more land down there in Pearl River County where I live, and we had just a few little blocks, and we tried to get that just to run our dogs on coyotes in the summertime. We wasn't going to deer dog hunt it during hunting season because we didn't have enough room to do it. And but so those, now we lease more land, so we've got over 6,000 acres, but we got 2 pieces, and we let the rabbit hunters and the steel hunters hunt that because it's not big enough, or there's no way to stop your dogs. If it had roads all the way around it, you could do it, because especially with the technology now with the Garmins, we can tone and stop our dogs from going as long as you can get to them.
Yeah, so a dog will have a collar on that you could tone him, and he knows if you're toning him that the next thing you're going to do to him is shock him.
Correct.
So he learned, and so you're saying if all the dogs have that on there, you can stop them.
Yeah,
Theoretically.
as long as you can get to them. That's, like I said, some people think you can just, if they 3 miles from you, that you can hit it and stop them. Well, it's you may be able to do it and you may not be able to do it. But as long as you can get within close range of them, and a hollering distance is the easiest way I put it, because once you tone them, you want to holler to let them know where you're at, where they can come back to you to load them back in the truck.
Yeah.
So what are some of the traditions? Because like I think about how we all turkey hunt. There's a certain way we turkey hunt that some other people don't do based on the sport, the traditions that we grew up doing. Is there that that you try to teach to like a younger generation that might, waver on how they set up or think a tactic's unethical? Is there some things like that? Yeah. Some of the traditions that you try to live by running dogs?
Oh yeah. Well, our biggest thing is, every dog hunting bunch I've hunted with is safety. So pretty much a normal morning is we pick a meetup place. We're going to meet up. And everybody's there, and they look at everybody, know who's hunting that day. And then when we go, we'll discuss, okay, what block y'all want to go run. Well, then we'll put a leader, or some call them hunt masters or whatever you want to say. He'll ride through and station people out. And then we discuss over the radio who's going to turn dogs loose in what area, and we go from there, because that's, like I said, the main thing. We want to know where everybody's at, where where you're shooting, and pretty much dog hunters know if somebody's running late, they're going to holler at you on the CB radio and say, hey, I'm late. Where can I fill in to where I don't interfere with where everybody's at?
So y'all got your own little channel. Y'all on some channel. What's your handle?
Wildcat.
Yep. Wildcat. Bring on one now, Wildcat. I'm running a little late. I'm on. Can I get down there by the bridge? And then you tell them.
Yeah, that's what everybody is funny, because people say, do y'all ever call yourselves by real names? I said, well, once you hunt with them, everybody's got some kind of handle. We got Hollywood and Ratchet Jaw and Wildcat and Taco and
so why
Three Wheeler, and I could go on and name you 100 different handles, and they don't. And some of these guys, I've hunted with them for years, and they say, who is that? I said, well, that's Crab Catcher. Well, what's his name? I said, I really don't know.
How'd you get dubbed Wildcat?
Well,
we like a cat story.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess the guys down there in Pearl River County where we hunted, they looked on the map, and there was a little creek they call Wildcat Creek. And anyway, they said I was crazy and driving and would go through anything. Well, I got stuck in it in my truck. So then I don't know. That's some of the guys. It's been probably 40 years ago give me that name, and it's kind of stuck ever since.
Do you have a typical type dog that you run?
Well, all of mine pretty much are running walkers. We with fox hunting, they had the registration on they had the horn and the chase registries, which is the different for running walkers. And pretty much I've kept all running walkers over the years, and I do have some. It started out as a little joke, but I got some crossed with walker and blue tick, and I got one that she's colored like a blue tick, but she is only a quarter, and I named her Pinky because she was blue. So anyway, and she's been a whale of a hound, and I've had several over the years of running walkers that I've probably found with 5 different dogs in the last 25 to 30 years, probably over 150 deer for people. Still hunters used to be waiting for me to get off out of the woods in the evening to go find deer that they shot and couldn't retrieve. And I've been fortunate to have some real good ones that was good on trailing and finding deer.
Yeah, back about 60 years ago, I was in a dog club here in Clay County, and they ran beagles for a little while. They ran walkers, and then somebody got a wild idea, and they got greyhounds, and they turned them loose, and we picked them up in Amory, 2 counties up, the next day. So we went back to a smaller breed.
Yeah. They.
What states is this legal in? Because it's not all of them, is it? Is it mostly a southern thing?
Yeah, mostly. I think it was a few years ago. I met in Tennessee with they formed a Southern Hunting Dog Alliance, and we had 14 states there. You know, everybody thought Texas was illegal, but even Texas has some portions of the state that they still dog hunt on.
Probably East Texas.
Maybe it may be. I know that we had Texas present, Oklahoma, of course, Tennessee, Missouri, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana. I think that's most of the states that was there.
So is this, that deer hunting has become just super popular. And people are managing for deer. I want to get into that with you a little bit later. But do you feel like deer hunting with dogs is growing, or is it kind of falling by the wayside, so to speak?
No, it's actually been growing in recent years. And I think, we was discussing that. It's more of you younger people now. And I'm not going to get in the argument of the video games, but some people think it's because of all this video generation. They can't sit still, so they going into dog hunting because it's action. So I'm not no psychiatrist on all this kind of stuff. Anyway,
I think it's hard to get in clubs. A lot of these clubs have been around for 80 years and have members and granddads that were members. And to get in a club, think about it around here. It's tough to find a club to get into. But if you have one that's 6,000 acres and can take 40, 50 members, you got better odds to get in one.
Yeah.
That would be my thoughts on a lot of it. And it's probably a little bit less expensive when you have more members.
Yeah. Yeah, like that club down there, one of them clubs, just the lease of land was $54,000. So, when average working guys that just want to go run their beagles or, foxhounds or whatever, they already got the cost of all year of raising their dogs and worming them and feeding them and all that. So they want to pay $1,000 just to get in this lease. Well, right there, you got to have 54 people, $1,000 just to pay the lease. I'm in the club there in Chippewa. We got 13,000 acres, and price has gone up. They paid $1,800 there, so you may not have to get quite as many, but you in the 50 something member range.
It's hard to get in. I tried to get in that one earlier before we started.
Well, you were just trying to get in from the turkeys.
Yeah. He showed me pictures and everything and wouldn't let me get in it. So it's tough getting in clubs.
My club here, they restrict if you turkey hunt, they won't let you turkey hunt. They'll let you in for a deer hunter or fishing, but that turkey's a no-no.
So are certain parts of the state or certain parts of the South more inclined? Does the terrain lend itself to this would be a better way to hunt the deer than a still hunt?
Not that I know of. I know down south, we got some thick woods down there. And that may be why in the fox hunting world, a lot of these guys that from South Mississippi, they run these hounds, and we got gallberries and briar thickets that's just enormous. Well, then when they go to Grenada and compete, or to some of these areas like that, the woods are just more open, and that's why I told them, all these guys from the Carolinas and Virginia and all over the Missouri and Illinois, they said, why we come all the way down here, we got good hounds, why y'all always win these hunts down here, all these guys from South Mississippi? I said, I think it's the terrain that the dogs, if they can run one through a thicket zigzagging and stay with it, and then when they get up there and where it's open country, it's just a lot easier for them to run.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So have you learned all these years of handling dogs and being around deer? Does it take would it surprise me to know how much effort it takes to get a deer up out of his bed and make him run?
Oh yes. If on days, especially like the first season, it depends. I've seen out there the Saturday before Thanksgiving all the way to December 1st, whatever the first season, it'd be so hot, so dry, no rain, and you just couldn't hardly run a deer. If they laid up, it's just hard. And if you start, that's where the old timers used to make man drives. The guy would walk in hooping and hollering with the dogs trying to jump a deer to get them running. And of course, our woods down there are so thick, we learned to let the dogs do the work because instead of fighting that driving. But there's still some do it, but we like turning them loose and letting them just go hunting. That's where your best hunting dog prevails, on picking up scent to try to jump them. But to get these big bucks, it's like I said, it's like winning the lottery.
So they might
Got that right.
They might lay there tight and let that dog or that driver walk right by them.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually seen does come by, and the dogs will be running the does, and look over there and be a buck standing there listening to the dogs, and he'll start circling back.
Yeah.
They're
that's
pretty
right.
smart. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you one quick little story. A buddy of mine, this was later, we was out there one weekend. Nobody showed up, just me and him. I said, well, I'm going to run the deer. It don't matter, so it was deer season. So we turned out, and Warehouser just clear-cut 400-acre block. Well, right in the middle, there's a little wet spot, and they had a patch of gallberry bushes. Probably wasn't, maybe an acre, maybe 208 foot square. Well, anyway, the dogs went across there. Well, they jumped a doe. She runs across there. Well, she hops into that thicket. We sitting on a ridge over there. Like I said, it's the middle of 400 acres. The dogs get to the edge of it. When the doe went in there, we sitting there looking with binoculars. Here comes a 6-point. Well, young dogs like we had, it don't matter. Whatever, they would be running one. If another one jumps up and that one's closer, they gonna run it, So they run the 6-point. So we sitting there looking at him. He makes a big old loop. He goes back in there. 2 more bucks come out of there. They go to running them. It was a spike and a 4-point. They make a loop, come back in there, and a big one jumped up. it was probably 8 or 10 point. Well, buddy Bud, he's like, boy, if I had a rifle could shoot a half a mile, he said, I'd shoot him. And I said, well, let's see where he goes. So the dogs is running him. He makes a big loop and goes right back into that thicket, and they come out running a doe. Well, then she finally goes across the road, so I go around there to catch them, and we walk back around there. I said, Bud, there's so many bucks in that hole right there. I said, and we know there's a good one there because we done seen him. But that just goes to show you that's a typical day of dog running. Dogs, you like I said, you have when I said it 3 times, you have to have a good dog to stay after a particular buck, and they are few and far between.
Hey guys, listen up. Let me tell you about an awesome deal Springfield Armory is offering now through the end of 2024. When you purchase a brand new model 2020 Waypoint or Redline rifle, you'll receive a model 2020 Rimfire rifle with a black synthetic stock absolutely free. That's an over $400 value on the house. You know we love Springfield Armory and their top-notch products you'd be proud to hand down to your kids and grandkids. So why wait? Learn more about this incredible offer at GearUp2024.com. Springfield Armory. Defend your legacy.
See these people? When the clock strikes 5, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. They have to do these things. They have to do those things. Enter the all-new LS Tractor MT2 and MT2E, a relentless force of innovation. Redesigned with a new hood and cab built for comfort and visibility, with enhanced lifting capacity to get the job done. Making these people the ones everyone else calls those people. Visit your local LS Tractor dealer today.
So what would you say percentage wise on an average year you buck to doe harvest for y'all's clubs?
Well, like down the one in South Mississippi, we only shoot legal bucks only.
No does.
No does. Up the one up here in Sugarlock, it's I think we went with 2 does per membership. So this is still hunting or dog hunting. Some shoot them and does in front of dogs. The biggest majority of us don't. We won't shoot them because it's one thing to identify a little 12-inch 6-point versus a 18-inch 10-point, but identifying a doe versus a button buck is a lot harder.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard in a food plot.
It's hard with some binoculars. Yeah. I mean,
so that's why most of us dog hunters won't take a doe in front of a dog.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I know you said you still hunt too,
mm-hmm.
and have had some really good success. I mean, harvesting some good deer, still hunting. What have you learned running dogs about bedding or where big bucks like to hang that you've utilized in a still hunt?
Well, what I like, you kind of like the turkeys now. You can't tell all your buddies everything you find in the woods, but once you learn where they're at, releasing the dogs in there is great because, like I was telling y'all at lunch, I killed 2 of my biggest deer. The guys was running dogs all day, and I just asked them where did they run, and then that's where I would go still hunting after they caught the dogs. And especially when you're getting pre-rut, when them bucks is kind of wanting to start hang with the ladies, well, he's gonna bed up when them dogs is coming through. The only way he's gonna get up is if a dog steps on top of him or a human. Well, they may run all the ladies and stir them around, and then as soon as they catch up and the ladies went and laid back down, well, now Mr. Big Buck's getting up. He's going to go try to find the ladies. So now he's just like a dog. He's on the hunt. So that's what I would do. Still hunting is go right in behind the dogs, and that's when I kill my biggest bucks.
And I'd think you'd want to do the opposite.
Yeah,
You know?
I would have too. Where'd y'all hunt? I'm gonna go someplace else. So do these dog clubs, do y'all manage to improve the health of the animals? It sounds like y'all are being careful about what you shoot or trying to, but are y'all doing food plots for nutrition in the summertime,
yeah.
the fall, and then
We put out minerals. We planted, like we got a power line and stuff. We planted summer food plots. Everybody plants winter stuff, and of course they, a lot of the guys that dog hunt, a lot of them's wives may not. They like just go still hunt. So all the guys is dog hunting, and the women are going sitting in the shooting houses still hunting, and it's crazy because we'll be out there dog hunting, and one of them would say, "Well, my wife just went and got in the stand over there," and then the next thing you know, we hear boom, and dang, she just killed a buck, and we in the same block dog hunting, and it's never affected it to me, and all the people that's in our club, they all see it, and they don't have no problem with it. And some of them just go get in their shooting houses and just sit there and in the mornings and wait for the dogs to stir around, and maybe a buck could come slipping through trying to get away from the dogs, if they get close to him, and we've never seen any problem with it. And like I said, if I could tell you story after story about, we find deer just laid up, and I guess the easiest way to tell you is, after deer season, we put on what we call our club, just a fun hunt. It was in February, so there was no guns, no nothing. Well, we kind of did it like a fox hunt, and we tried to turn out some coyotes that some of them trappers had caught off our club to get them all running. Well, anyway, all of our club members judged, and so what we set up boundaries. So all the guys that came to the hunt, if their dogs got to the boundary line, we'd tell them catch them and take them back to one certain spot and turn them back loose. And we ran it for, I think it was a 5-hour hunt. Well, and that's what I showed them guys. Even when you go in there with a whole crew and turn loose 100 dogs in a block, they come out there running a doe, or they come out there running a spike, or coming out there, maybe we would get after one buck or kill an 8-point. Well, this particular hunt, they just kept catching them at the boundaries and turning them back in there. And all the club members come out there and said, "Boys, we got some terrible dogs." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They said every time they went back in there and turned out, they'd come out running a nice buck. And I'm like, "Well," I said, "that's why I try to tell y'all, them bucks just lay there. And if you go in there and just one pack of dogs comes in there, them bucks ain't moving, but if you was to continuously put them back in the woods, if they go in there and jump a doe, come out, move down 50 yards and send them back in there again, and if you kept doing that, then by chance you get after more bucks." But
do you think that applies? Is that just the dogs that they're listening to those dogs, and they think, "I'm going to lay here"? Or would that be a person? If a person walked in the woods, would they let you get that close as well?
Yeah, they probably would. But, my biggest thing, because we're out there running dogs, pretty much all year but turkey season. And, I hear all these people telling me, down at home, I had some guys said, "We don't want a dog nowhere. That's why these deer are nocturnal." And I just looked at him. I said, "Man," let me tell you this. I said, "Deer's nocturnal because he's of people pressure." I said, "These people that go out there every day, walk around their food plots, walk around their feeders. That deer knows when you there and when you ain't. You know, in my opinion, that's just my. But we run dogs all year long. We see deer, we see coyotes, we see fox, we see hogs. You know, we see everything, and you know, it's like they don't pay no attention to the deer. Just don't pay attention to the dogs unless the dog's running it, because we've been out there at night and actually saved does. They'd be running a doe or something, pack of coyotes. Now, I've witnessed this 3 times already in my life out there at night. And them coyotes would run and pack up on a doe and run her down and catch her and kill her. And and then I got to watching them. I saw a documentary about it, but if you watch them, a lead coyote, you get up there and he'll push hard. The rest of them just take their time and lope. And then they keep swapping. You have a pusher and a packer, and one a push and the rest a pack until they wind it down. And this on 2 separate times, the doe was just give out. She was just lathered up, mouth wide open, tongue hanging out, and we ran up there and got between them and stopped the coyotes, and the doe just went over and laid down to catch her breath. But, you know, that's the thing. And then I hear all these people talk about, well, y'all go out there and run them fox and coyotes, and then they get after deer and they make them abort little ones. Well, I can tell you this, you know, and I understand all you wildlife fisheries guys listening, but we used to try to train dogs to run deer. So we'd go out there after dark, headlight us a deer, turn the dogs loose on it. But, you know, there again, Mother Nature runs its course. That doe, if she's bred or she has a little one, she loses her scent. The little one loses its scent, because if they had scent to where a dog could run them, then a coyote's going to catch every one of them. I mean, that's just a Mother Nature running its course, in my opinion.
So mama loses her scent.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I have seen either a pregnant doe, well, let me word it right, tinkling on the hot glands. If they ain't tinkling on the hot glands, they ain't got the scent. All right? So, and that's what I even argue with some of these guys out here in the summer, and they said, man, we got after a dadgum deer, and we run that thing all day long. He said, we couldn't get them off and find a coyote. They just would not leave that deer alone. I said, it's a hard-horn spike. And they said, how you know? I said, because that's the only thing I know still tinkling on his hot glands. I said, just like some of these teenagers, they's trying to sow their oats. And so I found that. I mean, I'm telling y'all stuff I've learned in the woods watching it over the years running dogs, you know. Yeah. So, you know, if the dogs is running it, 9 times out of 10, that doe's either, you know, not bred, she's open, or she lost a baby or something like that. Because if they're pregnant or just had a fawn, they're not tinkling on their hot glands. So therefore, the only thing a dog, and I've seen some good deer dogs, they can run them out of sight, and then they can't smell them. If they see them, they can run them by sight, but they can't smell them.
Can you train a deer dog to only run a buck?
That's I've got some. I've had some that's done that. I don't know how you train it. That's just a given thing for a particular hound. Yeah. Out of 1,000, I've only seen a couple in my life.
How about that?
So the main controversy, I would think, with running dogs is property lines.
Yeah.
And so how do you I mean, because you're a lobbyist for running dogs for deer. So what do you say to the landowner that says, I don't want these guys running dogs next to me? Or how do you make a friend out of that person that thinks what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing?
Well, I like to, of course, ask them about the terrain. Is there a way for the guys to get down that line to stop the dogs? Or, so just say, for instance, you had a property and say, well, I got a road down there. So I would go to you and say, well, if you don't want them dogs over there, would you give us access to get in that road to stop the dogs? Because now with the new Garmin collars and the technology where you can tone them, or you can vibrate or shock, and believe me, the jolt, that thing you can put on them, you can put it from 1 to 18, and it's most every dog I've had, and most of them just hard-headed. They just want to run, and if it didn't take but two shockings, and they'd never. Then all it take is a tone, and that tone just beep 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 beep. That's all it does, and when they hear that, they headed. But that, like I said, they got to hear their owner or who's hollering for them to go, because you might could stop them if you're not close. You might could stop them, but they gonna go looking for you, and if they can't find you, then they gonna go back hunting and jump something else.
What's the laws that, as far as like trespassing, retrieving dogs? I mean, what are Mississippi? I guess you could just speak to Mississippi. So if your dogs run off, can you go get those dogs legally, or is that considered trespassing?
Well, no. I mean, we're not gonna go on anybody's land, without permission. That the first thing we do, and that's part of on the Mississippi Hunting Dog Code of Ethics, is respect, fellow landowners. And, you'd be shocked at the people I found over the years. Nobody just ever goes and asks them. If they go ask them, they, most tell you, yeah, sure, just go get your dogs or whatever you got to do, but there is no, right now in the state of Mississippi, there is no law for a dog trespassing. I mean, there's, that they've tried, but there's no law for a dog trespassing.
They can't write the dog a ticket.
Nope.
Have you ever had a dog get shot
Oh yeah.
by somebody else on their another property?
And that's, to me, that takes a pretty evil person. I mean, Mr. Bill over there would tell you the time and effort you put in and training and caring and taking for a dog, and just because you don't like a dog hunting, you just go out there and shoot the dog.
But that's a criminal viation in and
That's
of
right.
itself,
That's right.
if you can prove who shot the dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In Mississippi, I know that.
Yeah, but we've had them shot. I've had calls. They shot them with arrows, bow and arrows, and a dog come walking up there with an arrow. We had one guy cut the back strap out of the dogs and turn them back and send them back to him. And
What?
the dogs was suffering, but and of course they had to put them out, take them out and put them out of their misery. But that just takes a evil person to do something like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to shoot a dog. No way.
And and like I said, and most of them, I've heard over the years, I'd be hunting, my dogs got off and went over there. Oh, don't go over there. That man's crazy. He hates dog hunting. He'll shoot you. And I mean, my motto is, I'm gonna go talk to you whether you curse me out or invite me for coffee. But so I pulled up there, talked to the man. He looked at me. He said, "You the first person in 22 years ever asked me permission. Well, then turned to find out, he said, I got 400 acres. He said, I got a 4-strand barbed wire fence all the way around it. He said, I hate deer. He said, look over there. He said, I got 9 pickup trucks totaled by deer. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, you go in there and kill every one of them. I said, no, sir, I just want to go get my dogs off your land.
So I mean, it sounds like it sounds like there's a lot of planning that goes into it. It's not just rolling up, throwing out dogs. You get on this road, I get on that road.
Yeah, Richie, I can't hear. There we go. So, Lanny,
Yes, sir.
thank you for joining us.
Sorry I'm late.
David, this is he was out catching the dogs, is what he was. This is Lanny.
Catching stuff afire.
So, and Lanny he's been on some dog hunts. Lanny, I was about to tell you.
Yeah.
This is Wildcat on the CB over here.
Oh, look at him.
If you're in South Mississippi on Channel 15 and you hear Wildcat, we calling the dogs.
Right 19.
So I'm trying to put myself in the position of a guy who's got 400 acres next door to your 4,000, and I'm trying to still hunt it, and I'm planting food plots. It would make me really frustrated if I'm thinking I'm bedding deer, bedding some bucks on my place, and all of a sudden some dogs come through and jump them up and run them. That would aggravate me. I can see that, and I think you can probably understand that as well.
Yeah. Well, I do. I mean, I got mostly, I say a lot of dog hunters. I know one of our officers, Dale Trotter, our vice president for the State Hunting Dog Association, he's got, I don't know, 400 acres or so adjoining DeSoto National Forest. Well, he dog hunts, but they still hunt too, and that's what he said, sometimes when he's got grandkids and all that want to go still hunting, and then somebody comes in there, but they understand that DeSoto was dog hunting and been dog hunting for years, and it's just something you got to deal with. But that's what Dale knows how to get around it. Matthew Scott, he's our state secretary, and he lives in Jackson County, and he hunts the national forest a lot, and that he dog hunts and still hunts both. So all of our officers, and like I have land. I've got private land, 180 acres in Knoxville County, and I got 160 acres in Pearl River County. So we all private landowners also, but we understand, and that 160 I got in Pearl River County, I had to deal with some, and I'm not going to make no name, just some steel hunters that hated dogs, and I had some got out and got on, this was just in the summer or what have you, and they would call the law, and they'd come over there and ask me, did I intentionally turn them out? And I said, no, I didn't intentionally turn them out. They just got out. Well, and, I went to them and begged and pleaded. I said, y'all, these wild hogs are destroying my 160 acres. I said, would y'all please do something about it? And they wouldn't. And, so my son, he hog hunts. He had dogs that could catch them. I leased 80 acres to a guy. He was farming, planting peanuts and, crops, and them hogs were just coming in there destroying things. So finally we had to put out traps and everything else, but they was rooting it up so bad it was eroding my property, just diminishing it bad, and that's the kind of thing. So you got good and bad and everything is what I'm trying to say, and these steel hunters, they had so many hogs, the deer left. I mean, the deer all left from them wild hogs. But to tell you quickly, it was about 1,800 acres surrounding my 160, and I took out 187 hogs in 1 year.
Goodness.
But there you go. Get the horns on that one.
So, Lanny, come up with a question now.
Well,
but I want to ask something real quick. Help me understand. If y'all are lining a road, Would you line it every 100 yards? You put a stander every 100 yards, 150 yards or so. Are y'all using buckshot or rifles, or how do y'all do that?
Most deer hunters always use buckshot. That's dog hunters.
What do you like? Double aught, single aught?
Depends on what your gun shoots best. Mine, I 1187, and I killed more deer with number 4 buckshot than it was just, but it held a tight pattern. At 50 yards, I could put 39 out of 41 pellets in a pie plate.
Goodness gracious.
That work?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, and I guess we used to all go out and we pattern from number 1, double aught, triple aught, number 4, find out which one patterns the best.
Yeah, that's smart. Just like a turkey hunter.
Yeah.
And here, since I've been dog hunting in Sugar Lock with paper companies, and you got big cutovers, I've got where I just soon dog hunt with my 308 bolt action. I'll just put one shell in it. And, when he comes across, I'm either going to drop him or miss him, one or the other.
Pretty good shot to hit a moving deer.
Yeah.
Hey, Lanny.
Hey, Bobby.
Have you ever wondered if your feeder went off or if it's even got corn in it?
Yeah, you sit there at night wondering about it.
Moultrie has solved this. This is some high-tech stuff.
Fits on any feeder that helps monitor the level of feed and lets you know if it went off or not. And you can remotely control it.
Can I look at your feeder if we're on the hub?
I really hope not, but we're going to have to talk to the guys at Moultrie about that. This is the biggest thing in feeders since corn.
That's saying a lot.
With Feed Hub, there's no more stressing, no more guessing. This technology allows you to remotely monitor your feeders.
We always say feed safely, do it the right way.
No doubt about it.
To learn more about it, visit moultrieproducts.com/feedhub. It's a great invention.
Unbelievable technology and products brought to us by our buddies at Moultrie.
Lanny.
So,
You
yeah,
had-
I really can't ask a question because I came in late.
But you grew up going on dog hunts.
Yeah, I grew up dog hunting, and I mean, honestly, if you really think about hunting and dogs, they go hand in hand. People were. I guess we're talking about deer hunting with dogs today, but the bottom line is, humans have been hunting with dogs for thousands of years, as long as they've been hunting. We all express. We all have our hunting companions. Mr. Bill, you got a bunch of them.
60 of them right now.
Yeah. So it's, I think oftentimes, people kind of forget, in this age of still hunting, which I am a huge still hunter. Growing up, in those big clubs and dog hunting, I was like, hey, Dad, drop me off on this end when y'all are going on that end. Because I was bow hunting, and wanted to get close and everything that I could. This isn't a new thing. It's been around for thousands of years, and the relationship between hunters and dogs is as important as historic as hunting itself. No matter what it is, whether you got beagles and you're hunting rabbits, if you got labs and you're hunting ducks,
Uplands, ducks.
if you got cocker spaniels and you're hunting doves, I mean, there's nothing that makes your hunt better. It's outside of friends and family than having a solid hunting dog, whatever it happens to be.
It's a tradition for sure.
It is a tradition.
Yeah.
So a lot of time I know in the age of still hunting, dog hunters get a bad rap. Let the dogs loose on my place, run all my deer off. But the bottom line is it's part of this culture as much as hunting itself. So
I was surprised, Lanny, you missed this, but I asked him the question, was dog hunting growing or was it diminishing? And he said it's absolutely growing. And that kind of shocked me.
No, I've heard the same thing from the guys that I used to hunt with, especially on these big timber leases that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's do this. I think Richie's hunting near Sugar Lock, and you're there in Sugar Lock. Mm-hmm. Richie is the producer of our television show. Richie, why don't we do an episode where they turn out some dogs on your place, and let's work together and y'all make an episode.
What about the Ponderosa?
There's no, we can't do it over there. I think it was not legal over there.
Well, we might not have enough acreage, for him.
So let's go on his place.
He's used to the big places, We just
so that's a good. Y'all
Go
might
on
have
his
already
place.
talked about that. What size of a place are you looking for if you're letting out, several dogs?
We kind of, like I said, it depends on can we surround it to cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can run a 500-acre block if we got access all the way
around it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
And how many dogs are y'all turning loose?
I've seen us have 150 out at one time.
Oh my goodness!
Well, that's a lot.
So,
But
That's more than Mr. Bill's got.
That's right.
that's a lot of that's a lot of barking.
I'm
A
kind
lot of dog food.
I guess I'm getting old school. You can kill more deer turning out 2 or 3 good ones at a time than just turning out 150. Because normally, the first, if people bringing in young dogs, what have you, and first thing a young dog's gonna do is just first thing he jumps up. It could be a little yearling, it could be a doe, it could be a spike, or older dog. They're what I was telling you about the ones that like bucks. Of course, bucks gonna have a stronger scent, so your older dogs tend to kind of hunt till they pick up on that stronger scent and start trailing it, working it, and but when they cast too many at one time, first one that barks, they all go into it.
Yeah.
Is
there legendary dogs that only chase bucks?
I was telling
Did I
them
miss that one?
Yeah, you missed that
at
question.
lunch. I'm fortunate enough to have. I've got 2, or I had 2. I still got one that just
That's what he
about
likes.
when he barks, it's a buck.
So if you
that's
brought him
awesome.
in this room and he sat down on the couch with you, he would start
He
salivating.
wouldn't bark at a buck that small. I don't think.
I don't know. Look over
Well,
there. He'd salivate.
Last year I was picking some of them guys. I'm like, Slim. I said, nah.
I was going to ask the name. His name's Slim.
Yeah, his name's Slim. But anyway, he jumped like 3 different ones. Well, they hollered at me, Wildcat, this one's a spike. And he said, next one, they stopped him, turned him back out. He went in there, and when he jumped again, they said, Wildcat, this one's a 6-point. I said, okay. I said, well, that's the only thing I hadn't taught him to look at the horns. I said, if I could teach him to go in there and say, look, it's got to be 18 inches wide and a 10-point, but
So did you really say okay, or did you say 10-fold? What is it? What about when you pick up a radio? You just start saying over and 10-4.
I do it on my phone. My kids, my youngest child was like, what does 10-4 mean? Dad? And I was like, never mind.
So we asked a moment ago about states that this is legal in. Richie, did you find anything when you were, or what have you been doing?
Yeah, so I was looking here, trying to find some research here. So technically there's 11 states, but California, and that's legal in California and Hawaii, but they don't have a whitetail population. So,
yeah.
But going into, it's got Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Virginia, and Florida.
Mm-hmm. We ought to go drop the 150 out an hour and see what happens.
Hey, do you find that running your younger dogs with your older dogs, they reap a lot of benefit from that? They learn from the older.
Yeah, they learn from the older ones. Yeah,
that's what I find too. That's why I was asking.
That's the best way to get a young dog trained is running with that old dog. I mean, it's like I was trying to tell some of these guys, how you pick the best dog? I said, well, it's bred in them. You just gotta
bring it out.
Bring it out.
Yeah.
You got to bring out the talents. Some, and it's harder now for guys because they don't have the opportunity. A lot of them go into fox pens, fenced enclosures, to train and run dogs. Well, It's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
Because if you want to take that dog and go outside and run a deer, he ain't gonna know what to do.
Right.
You know.
People don't realize that there's a certain amount of genetics built into the dog. Like
That's
a Labrador Retriever, he knows how to retrieve. If he won't naturally retrieve, you'll never put that in him.
Yeah.
And same with the deer dog. I presume that if he does not have the genetics to run deer, fox, or whatever you'll run, coyotes, and what he's been trained to do, and you develop, he'll never get there.
Yeah. And some, you know, a deer is a wicked creature. Because a dog, if you can run them, and I've seen this, and it's just by nature of them dogs, and it's very few that learns how to do it. Because I had the best one I've ever owned in my life, and his name was Copper. And
I'll be.
but anyway, you know, a lot of these deer, and these bucks is smart. They'll learn to run, jump in water, and then jump back and run back over their same track. So coyotes, dogs, anything that's pursuing them loses their scent and then can't figure them out. Well, and then as deer hunters with dogs, we always call it tapping the road. These bucks will come running up there and stop, and he'll start rotating, winding the standers. Well, then he'll wheel and run back in on himself and go down and keep doing that back and forth. Well, when the dogs get there, and they just bust out in the road and they lose his scent. You know, they don't know where he went because that was the last place they smelled him. Well, he's done double back over himself several times. So, you know.
That's amazing how they can.
But you have certain dogs, and this one, when he was young, he was just, right at a year old, his first deer season, they was running a buck. He came, we saw the buck stop, and he wheeled and went back. Well, all the dogs busted out in the road. Well, when he ran out in the road, he broke right and run down the road about 100 yards and then shot across the road. And I said, what is this crazy dog doing? And he made a big circle. Well, he crossed back over and come back down. And all of a sudden, when he come back around, when that deer wheeled, he just made a big loop and come back around. And he was about 100 yards out there, and he hit it. And left with it. So, and I said, everybody's like, how can he run them deer so fast away from them other dogs? I said, it's not. He's just figured the mentality out to make a loop to catch him when they try to double back over themselves.
That is a smart dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
I train labs to cold track wounded deer, and they tell me that they have a digital gland in their hoof, and the scent they give off when they're under stress like that is much stronger than any other deer. They can stay on that one deer and not get off, even though maybe 4 or 5 does have crossed their trail in there.
Yeah.
But I enjoy teaching dogs to cold track.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about, we all grown up rabbit hunting, and rabbits will make a circle loop.
Mm-hmm.
Does a deer, well, I'm listening to you talk, does a deer do the same thing?
Deer does the same thing, except his circle is big. He may make we used to do that at home. Every time they'd go north, they go 2 miles, they go north. We had a bed spring. We used to hook to the old gravel road, and we'd catch the dogs and drag it up and down the ditches, and then go back a couple hours later and track him. When he comes back across, we put dogs back on him. So he was going on private land, and that's one thing. I'd like to all these people to understand this. If a dog runs onto your land, he's running a deer that wasn't on your land. And he may run through your land, but that deer is making his circle to go back to where they jumped him at. because I promise you, a deer is just like a rabbit. And wherever you jump him, he's going back. Except a rabbit, it may take him 30 minutes to come back to where his home territory. A deer, it may take him 8 hours to come back.
So when Lanny would go down away from the dogs, he should be hunting behind the dogs.
So let me ask a serious question. So if I'm that guy and I've got 400 acres and I'm trying to still hunt it and I'm a little aggravated being next door to the club that's running dogs, some dogs show up on my place. How would you want me to react? Would you want me to catch the dogs and walk them out, or tell me how you would want me to react?
What we would, is just if they came up there and you could catch them, just catch them. Everybody's got their numbers on it. Call them, tell them, hey, I got your dogs. They come over on my land, and I'll meet you at the gate or whatever with them.
Yeah.
And like I said, we got places out on clubs we at now. Well, if we get dogs going that way, we get somebody over there, and just like say you was over there and it was my dogs and 2 or 3 others, they on the radio, Wildcat tone your dog, or Taco tone your dog, or Squirrel tone your dog, and they catch them before they got on the land. So and like I said, the main thing is a perimeter. So what I would recommend, if somebody's got land and they got dog hunters close, if they got some kind of, whether it be a road, even if it's on their land, the private land, have a way, if them guys, their dogs come that way, if they can get there, they can stop them 9 times out of 10.
It does sound like y'all are trying to do it right and be aware of your surroundings. And
Oh, yeah.
I get that from you.
So is it, for you can only speak for yourself, but for you, it's abnormal for a dog to get on somebody else's property the way y'all are hunting?
The way in the last, like I said, 5 years ago with the beep beep collars, we got places over there and around Sugarlock. Them guys, they was like, "Oh, keep y'all's dogs off our land. We all still hunting." I can't tell you in the last 2 years, we haven't had a dog went that way, and we got 150 dogs in our club. So everybody's got Garmin collars, so they pretty much know where they're at, and they can tone them, they can stop them. So, now that's where we get the people like, so, hey man, I'm in that club over there. Can y'all let some dogs sneak across the road? When y'all used to have them come over there, boy, we'd see some deer and kill some deer. Now we just sit there and we don't see nothing. So, but it's like I told them, I said, well, you got some that they want to raise Cain if the dogs go over there, and then you got some of them club members won't see the dogs come over there. So, but we've really been doing this. The Garmins have changed the whole philosophy of
I can see
hunting.
that. What should we be asking? And Mac, is there anything you can think of that we hadn't asked here?
I want to know what's your biggest deer that you've killed running a dog in South Mississippi.
Mm,
You don't have to
probably-
say where, just how big.
I think right at 150 inches, I guess.
That's a big deer.
Hell yeah, it's a
Your
big deer.
your dog running. Your dog running it.
Yeah.
That made you feel good.
Yeah, some of the guys, a couple of them went over there and told me, they said, "Yeah, that dog's in there running a rabbit." They was trying to get me mad. Well, anyway, and it was making little bitty rabbit circles. And when I tell you, it wasn't going 200 yards and running back, but Lord, did I not know it was a 13 point with 18.5 inch spread. and he was toying with that. It was a young dog. He was toying with that dog, just sitting there circling around a little briar thicket.
So, is there anything you've learned running dogs that you can apply to still hunting that you could tell and teach our audience, something that they could take away that they could apply to their still hunting?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, like I said, you know, I told about the stories. I used to like going in behind the dog hunting, because that's when those bigger bucks are just going, you know, coon up. They ain't going nowhere. They, you know, unless you step on them, and you run all the other deer or stir them around. If you can actually get his lady friends away from him, that's going to help you. But I just, you know, still hunting. I've seen the way deer react in the woods to dog hunting, and I just kind of use that and find the you know, the good areas where they like crossing. That's one thing. You know, a deer, he loves a certain pattern.
Can you predict where one's going to cross?
Well, what we do is when we're out in the off season running them, I could just about tell you 1 of 5 places in a 2-mile block that a buck would cross out of there, and that was me and a old buddy of mine that's passed away now. We called him Red Fox. Anyway, you know, I told him, I said, we ran them all year long. I said, there ain't but 5 places they're going to cross out of this 10,000 acres. And if you put somebody there, if they was willing, and that's what another thing about dog hunting, I wish we had some patient still hunters. Dog hunters are not patient. So, you know, that's what, like me and Red Fox used to get on there and tell them, somebody needs to stay right here in this curve up above the creek, because sometime today that buck's crossing right there. Well, they'd hear the dogs get away. They couldn't hear nothing, so they'd leave. And sure enough, when the dogs come back, that's where they cross right there. And I kill more deer by just, once we learned them crossings, I just sit there and prop my feet up and twiddle my thumbs and wait. And sure enough, if you was patient enough, he's coming back.
The Furminator is the industry's most versatile piece of food plot equipment, allowing plotters to do every step of the process, working the soil, adding seed and soil supplements, and compacting, from start to finish with a single implement. It's hassle-free by design. Set it for the seed size and simply drive the tractor, and the Furminator does the rest. Check it out at thefurminator.com.
Nosler is known for their bullets, and now they're making suppressors. Nosler suppressors are made for hunting. Adding a Nosler suppressor to your rifle will make you a quieter, more accurate, and more effective hunter. Protect your hearing and disturb less game with a Nosler suppressor. The time to hunt quiet is now. Learn more at nosler.com.
Real quick, so how long have you waited on a deer like that?
2-3 hours. Yeah.
How much far ahead of are the deer usually than the dogs?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, down in South Mississippi, I've seen this back years ago. If you heard the dog, the deer, you better go 2 roads up, because the deer is way up there.
In front of you already.
I've killed deer and took the dogs. The dogs took 28-30 minutes to get to me.
Wow.
So you had to be pretty, you know, down there. You had to be sharp about, you know, to kill them, especially a good buck, as we called it. Which, you know, we had a few good bucks. They was far and in between down South Mississippi. I mean, our average deer, they died with a 12-inch spread, you know, 6-point or 7-point. And, but when somebody seen, let's see, on the radio, the favorite saying, "Son, that thing looked like Mutual Omaha coming across the road."
What was it? The Hartford Elk?
The Hartford Elk.
Yeah.
Wow. I'd love to listen to the radio down there when they're running. I bet that's a lot of fun.
We need to get Bobby one of those shirts that says "Run your dogs, not your mouth." That's what we need to do.
So, Richie, I'm wanting you to get with him. Y'all do an episode down in Sugar Lock. It could be on his place. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we could. I know a Slim down there in Sugar Lock.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be real good.
Yeah.
So I have scratched through all the questions I have, with the exception of, is there a strategy to what you guys are doing? Do y'all think about, boy, there's that big old deer that's hanging on around that big pond, or do y'all make a strategy to try to get one deer?
Well, we've tried, but I don't know if we've ever succeeded. Yeah. We had a big one last year, and everybody thought, which, once they got pictures of that one, it was funny. And we went through the whole first dog season, and they bow hunted it all the way till gun season. Then we dog hunted that block all the way to first season, and then I think it was the day or two after first season, a woman killed it steel hunting, and that's what all of them told me. They called and said, "All right, everything's good now. Big boy's dead." So that was the 186-inch deer that was killed.
That's a real good one.
That's a big deer. I have one more question.
Bigger than Hercules.
So
It is, yeah.
a lot of the still hunters are used to seeing a non-running deer. So you see running deer when you're dog hunting. Mm-hmm. Do you have a noise, a whistle? Do you have anything that you can do to get a deer to check up? Like, do you have like something that you've had work? Like if you're hunting a power line and a deer walks across the power line or runs across the power line, what are you doing to get that deer to stop or slow down, if you do?
I learned I don't, because if he's got some good dogs behind him, he ain't gonna stop.
Probably boom, boom.
That's a legit question.
I'll tell you this.
We do. We had them.
You just do like we did when I first dog hunted years ago. I said, "How are we gonna hit these things running?" So every Sunday after church, we met up at the dirt pit, and we stuck cardboard and tires and put us a target on it. And they'd roll them down the pit, and you'd have to leave your gun in the truck and run grab it and throw up and see how many times you could hit it.
That's some training right there now.
So, and I tell you this, it's all, anybody that thinks they're going to hold a deer in a scope and follow with him, nah.
You ever use those scout scopes that have the scope mounted farther up front? That you can just, I mean,
used to they had quick sights on them so you could look under them.
The best thing I learned to do is just, when I see one, hold the scope there, I put it on him. If it's a shooter that I want to shoot, I pull out in front of him. As soon as you see him come in that scope, pull the trigger. And I've killed a pile of them.
You got to be shooting those Nosler partitions too,
100%.
probably.
In 308.
How about that?
150 grain soft point. 308.
Wow.
That's what my dad dog hunting was, a 308 Winchester. Sure did.
Your dad would have enjoyed this discussion.
Yeah, no, it's right.
Or he will when we play it.
He will
enjoy
listen.
it.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Wildcat. Now, I wonder, what was your dad's handle on the radio?
You know, I forgot. I should remember that.
You need to ask him that.
I need to ask them all their old handles.
What's y'all's channel down there?
Let's see. I think both clubs we run on channel 4. I think
That's a good channel.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny now? You see all these young kids with whip antennas on their trucks, but they don't even know what a CB is.
I don't know about all that. So, what you got, Mac?
I do have one blood on the biologic.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about Pearl River County,
Yeah.
not just Pearl Pearl County.
Right.
So there's a guy that our buddy Logan Cook sent me a video, and his name is John Miles McNeese. Head to tail in Mossy Oak, shot a really, really good looking buck with a trot line under its belly.
What a crazy story. I have never heard of such. That deer,
Makes sense. He was crossing somewhere and got hung up.
at some point you could have been working your trot lines and there would have been a big buck attached to it.
Monster. That's a fine deer right there.
Great
Nothing
deer.
like
I'd rather have that than catfish.
And it's head to
trot
toe.
line him
Not
too.
head to
That's
toe.
right. Hold him still.
nothing like trot lining for deer.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great one. That sure is. Hey, let's ask him a quick trivia question.
Okay.
Richie,
All right.
where are you?
He's
I'm,
right here.
I'm always here, Bobby.
Okay.
I'm looking at him.
All right, so we got prize winner today is Warden E22.
Warden E22.
Left a review, and he's going to win a Gamekeeper field coat.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Lanny, you know the field coach. We hadn't talked
Very
about him in a
familiar with
while.
field coach.
So we're going to start giving some of those away. That was the very first Gamekeeper
first thing we
Fieldwear
did.
piece.
I still got mine.
They're great, coach. So, guys, you can go to gamekeeperfieldwear.com and see the field coat. We're fixing to have a special on them. But that's what, so Warden, you'll just let us know what size you are and we'll get one sent to you. Y'all leave reviews. You're going to win. You got a really good chance of winning something. Go ahead, Rich.
All right, David. So here's a very relevant question for the day.
All right.
What was the original title for the Beverly Hillbillies TV show?
Ooh.
Look, and let me just say, I'm pretty sure that
Where did this
Lanny
come-
stole that or used that to inspire him when he named our television show many years ago.
The original title of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes.
And it, what?
Yeah. When you
Which
hear
is
it,
where we
you'll
got the
go,
Gamekeepers.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I got it from. How about the hillbillies? I'm not answering that. I was working for you over here.
You can help it. Yeah, you can help it.
I want to guess.
All I remember it was the Beverly Hillbillies, so I don't know what it.
How about the hillbillies of Beverly?
That's exactly right.
All right.
Might be.
Isn't that interesting?
You still win. You phoned a friend.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah. No,
And I wouldn't have guessed that if you hadn't said that about the TV show.
Yeah, so I've always wondered, when you
Oh, yeah,
when you
of course
named
I
our
did.
show,
Yes,
you
of
were
course
like,
I did.
oh, well, I remember this one show.
Believe it or
So
not, the
good.
Beverly Hillbillies is a little bit older from me.
But I
Not
bet
much.
you
No, I
remind me.
watched them.
You remind me of Jethro.
Do you? Just because I cipher with my shoes off.
You did ability to count to 20.
Yeah, that's right.
Duke, he wasn't a very good hunting dog, I don't think.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, do y'all know what state the Clampetts were supposedly from?
I thought it was Kentucky.
Texas.
I did too, till I started reading about it.
So you worked
today.
research the trivia.
Yeah. Do you know, Mac?
I would have guessed Tennessee.
Rich?
Yeah, I have no idea.
David? Missouri, the Ozarks of Missouri.
Huh.
How about that?
I thought it was Texas.
I was always down in Kentucky.
David, can we, as president of the Mississippi Dog Hunters Association, do you give out an email address or if somebody needs to get in touch with you
Yeah.
to help them? What do they do? Or you want to give your phone number out? Or what?
Well, yeah, I don't mind giving my phone number.
Well, we'll put it in the show notes.
Everybody's got it anyway. But,
Is this an election year for you too? Are you running for re-election? We need to do some campaigning.
no,
or
I
anything?
keep telling them guys that I wish somebody would take my job away from me. But
Yeah.
nobody, every time we have an election, they want to keep it the same.
At least it's a democracy, you
That's
know.
right.
But
So let me say this. So we'll put your contact in the show notes. The dog hunting is hunting.
Yes.
And I know there are people that get aggravated with it. I get that. But it's a tradition. It's a heritage. It's part of the heritage of hunting. And we don't want to see it go away. We don't. So we're not. We didn't bring you here to be negative on it. We're here to understand the heritage and the tradition. And we, like I said, we don't want to see it go away.
right.
There's a perfect world. Everybody could work together. I'm kind of surprised to learn that it's growing though. That surprises me.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that's been growing is the fox hunting part. A lot of young folks is getting into that. They, and Mr. Bill can tell you, you know, if you go out and raise a dog, train it, and you go compete and you win, you know, it's a big thing to these younger folks. I mean, a lot of old folks, you know, old guys that's still doing it. We got a guy down Ocean Springs, Mr. J.W. Webb. He's got to be 90, and he's been fox hunting for 60 years, and he's still at it. You know, fella right there by me turned 87 the other day, and he runs his dogs every week, Joe Mac Smith. And, you know, a lot of these old timers, and all they want to do is just listen to that dog.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen to that dog run.
Well, it's not different than the hog hunters or the rabbit hunters or the mountain lion hunters. You know, there's just...
If you got 150 dogs, can you tell yours out of all those dogs?
I can tell it was slim.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah.
I laugh because at one hunt I think they did have like 150 something dogs in it, and we was over there, and it was an 8-hour hunt, and they cast at 2 a.m. and run till 10, and
rough on me.
It was probably about 5 o'clock. It wasn't even daylight yet. I turned and looked at a buddy of mine, and I said, well, Dottie's got that race. Yeah. And there was another guy over there. He said, there's 157 squealy-mouthed dogs in there, and you gonna say Dottie's got that race. Well, about that time, the coyote came and made a turn downside the fence, and they shined the light. They said, 822's looking at that coyote. And Warner said, he knows his dog.
That's Dottie.
How about that? Well, you know, we're all hunters, and I think that's one of the major takeaways for sure.
100.
Yeah. So, David, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna give our Facebook page. It's themhda.com. I mean, our website, and then we also have a Facebook page. If they just pull up the Mississippi Hunting Dog Association Facebook, and you know, they put all kind of stuff on there, and we try to keep a lot of information on our website, and I think my number's on there, or they can pull it up. Of course, if anybody, I always give my number out, 228-861-5711. I'm the state president. Whether people's got problems with dog hunters, we solve problems with, you know, like I said, we got bad apples and everything. So, you know, I've worked with the law enforcement on, we want to try to stop the bad dog hunters because we don't want them giving the ones that's trying to do it the right way a bad name. Yeah. So we try, and I've been trying to preach to all of our members across the state, you know, we do have to police ourselves, you know, to help out. You know, I know Wildlife Fisheries always used to say, well, we go out there after them dog hunters, we can't get but one, and then he radios the rest of them, and we can't get them. I said, well, you know, if they doing it all right, it don't matter, and that's what I picked it up. One of the game wardens, he worked our area, and they mobbed us one day, and I got checked by 5 different game wardens in 10 minutes. And, you know, I told everybody, I got on the radio, I said, let's just all stop, let all 5 of them check you, and then I said, then we can go back to hunting. Well, anyway, that particular game warden come back later, and they called me on the radio. He said, this game warden wants to see you, and I figured who it was. Well, anyway, I said, tell him meet me at the rock pile. So I went over there, and he said, Mr. David, I just want to tell you, he said, that wasn't me that brought in that whole wad checking y'all. He said, but what tickled me, he said, they ain't find nobody doing nothing wrong. He said, they checked 50-something people in 10 minutes, and he said there wasn't nobody got a ticket for anything illegal. I said, well, I told you, we're gonna try to do it right. Yeah. And I said the worst thing, I guess, is And I don't agree with it. The law, I mean, you can ride around with a loaded vehicle and your gun 365 days a year, but they try to say during hunting season, if you caught with a loaded gun, you're going to get a ticket. Well, you know, we've had guys jump out of the truck trying to catch dogs to keep them from going on Bobby Cole's land, and the game warden pull up there and write them a ticket for a loaded gun. Well, how are you road hunting when your gun's in a truck and you're out there catching your dog to keep them from going on somebody's land? And that part of it, I don't agree with it. And, you know,
I don't either.
I think it, you know, I'm not gonna argue with I just say dog hunters are discriminated against a lot. They get pulled over because of a dog box in their truck a lot when they shouldn't get pulled over. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you said a lot. So, well, I've really enjoyed this. David Smith, also known on the Citizens Band as Wildcat.
Wildcat.
Yeah, Channel 4 down there in Pearl River County, Mac.
Come back.
I mean, you're a Mississippi resident, so you should know a few of our counties.
I should have known that. So, all right. Has anybody else got anything, Mr. Bill?
No, I've said about all I can say.
Lanny, thank you for sliding in.
Sorry.
Late.
Yeah.
Richie, we got any business over there we need to tend to?
No, I think we got like a conference call we're missing right now.
Yeah, probably are.
Got a big rabbit hunt at our club down there. All you people that's got they call it the baddest beagle around.
Come on, bring him.
Give me a phone call. We got one Saturday the 12th and another one the 19th.
Call Brooks.
Baddest beagle in town. Richie, could you do a TV show with him, and could you put a camera on the collar of Slim?
We've done. We can work something out.
That'd be pretty interesting.
That'd be pretty interesting. That's for
Would
sure.
be. We'll see if old Slim runs bucks or not.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been fun. Mr. Bill, why don't you say goodbye, Mr. Bill?
Goodbye, Bobby.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast, and be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.